ladies, welcome back to another session with she owns, she builds, she owns, she invests. She is me and she is you. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for being on a mission with us to help 1 million women create generational wealth while fostering personal, professional, and spiritual growth. Thank you for being here. Today we have an amazing speaker. We are super excited to have her. But before that, I want to announce something really quick. You know, I like to make my announcements. Here we have a surprise for you. So you guys probably seen that we got our swag ready. So just wanted to let you know that it's live now. It's in our webpage. You can now purchase She swag. So we have all these products. It's in our webpage. Also, Candace is gonna help us with the link. You can purchase there, and we really appreciate your support. And that's it. Let's get it started.
Well, thanks, Jasmine. I'm glad you showed us. I do have my She mug here. So if you buy them, they're very nice. I do love them right here. Shameless plug, as Trevor says. But I have to introduce our amazing speaker today. She is a homeschool mother of 6 and wife of over 25 years to Gino Barbaro, an entrepreneur and co-founder of Jake and Gino. Together, they host the Julia and Gino Show, where they focus on raising a family and running a business. She's an author of Cannolis Exploded, A Gelato Blast, and Pizza with a Purpose, books for all ages encouraging responsibility, creativity, and decision-making. She's a certified Christian life and marriage coach, as well as a certified high performance coach. Julia and her friends live in St. Augustine, Florida, where they enjoy the old city and simple beach life. I'm so excited to introduce my new friend, Julia Barbaro. Let's all get excited. So happy to have you.
Yay!
Thank you, ladies. Maria, thank you.
I get excited when I talk about it.
Thank you, Julia. We're super excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started building this real estate behind the scenes and all these amazing things that you have done, and along with raising 6 kids and homeschooling 6 kids. Let's don't forget that part. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So like Maria said, I've been married for 25 years to Gino. Some of you know him. He's part of Jake and Gino. But before that, he was a restaurant owner. He actually bought the restaurant that I worked at. And that's where I met him. And that's where I fell in love with him. And he brought his whole family in. He started the business with his family, with his mom, with his brother, and his father. And there was something about that, just working together as a family, that I just thought was awesome. And I just, little by little over the years, we worked together in the restaurant, and we had children and so on. But there were so many things that I have to point out, because my husband is a true entrepreneur, and I really wanted to stay home and raise a family. And he did too. He thought that was the best thing in the world, that I actually said, here's what I really want to do. So he supported that. I supported his adventure with all his ideas of buying real estate, having a restaurant. And I did what I could behind the scenes. And we all know that we can be successful in the world, but there's a whole path to get there. And to be the spouse, whether you're home or working side by side, that support that we're giving them and doing what we can at the moment. I helped him with, we were talking earlier about just doing the behind the scenes as far as the video goes, and editing and putting it out on the internet, and starting little, because you have to start somewhere, right? So when he started the real estate world, I backed him up, which a lot of us, we can talk about that later, about supporting each other when our spouses have really great ideas and they want to do them. But I really decided to support him and to be there when he needed me, and to do what I could at the moment, because we have a lot of kids, and when they're babies, it's hard to do certain things. And so, so it was little by little over the 25 years of being married and supporting each other, that it it grew into something so beautiful. And he has this beautiful community of really incredible families, incredible couples, incredible men and women. They're all like-minded. They're all trying to make a difference in the world, support their family through real estate. And I am just so honored to be part of that.
I love it. I love that story. What are some lessons that you've learned being a mom of 6? My goodness, in business?
So lessons learned. Oh my gosh, this question is like, I'm so overwhelmed because there's so many lessons, right? We learn from our past, and a lot of times we repeat those mistakes, right? And I'm completely guilty of that, by one after another of children, just doing the same thing over and over again. And then with my husband, I'm always trying to like help him out and have the kids at the same time. And it's really challenging. One of my lessons learned in life is that, and I'm a very spiritual person, devout Christian, is that every time I worried, which I worried so much in all my years of raising children, when I worried about them, when I worried about, am I being a good enough mom? Am I being a strong enough wife? Am I raising my kids okay? Are they going to grow up and just, who knows? I mean, our minds go all over the place, right? As women, every time I worried, am I having too many children? I mean, like all these things. Every time I worried, I didn't trust God. I didn't have that trust, because you can't worry and trust at the same time. And so for me, I look back and I'm like, my gosh, all those hard times, whether it was loneliness or worry that the kids, I was, messing them up as the mom, and being too strict or being too lenient, you know what I mean? Being home enough, not being home enough. We always have these ideas. I wasn't trusting. I wasn't trusting in myself as a mother. I wasn't trusting my husband to be the father, because I was like, oh, here's how you take care of the kids. And you know what I mean? We do that as spouses a lot. And I think the trust part is my biggest, when I look back, that's what I really learned the most, is to trust the process. We only know what we know at the time. I only know when I was, when I think back even 20 years ago and I had all little children, I knew what I knew at the time, and I did the best I could at the time. I learned a lot going forward. I don't have those regrets anymore. I'm thankful for those moments. So that's my big lesson learned.
I love that. So one of the things that you've shared with us on the panel is that you've had a lot of learning and growing into your now business. You're a marriage coach, you do life coaching, you work with business owners and entrepreneurs, and you really provide a lot of value to all these people, especially those of us that are women and moms who deal with all the guilt and the, how do I juggle all of this? So share with us your story about the biggest challenge and how you overcame public speaking, because you shared with us that really early on you were just awestruck, even in small groups, small Bible groups, small moms groups, and speaking was just not your thing.
Yeah, I thank you. I love when I tell someone something and they repeat it back, because I'm so thankful for those moments of fear, because we grow so much, and I've learned that, to be thankful for those difficult times. But there was one time when I was at my husband's event, and we were all helping him. All the kids were there, and we were selling swag and helping registration. And my kids were, they were younger, probably about 5 years ago. And a lady came up and she's like, listen, I love real estate. I'm really, I'm here learning. I really want to know how you do it. How do you take care of the kids and support your husband and run a house full of kids and homeschooling and, everything you do? And I actually couldn't answer her. And I'm like, oh, you just do it. I don't know. I couldn't explain it, if that makes sense, because all my life I have been avoiding groups, just like you said. I mean, I would sit in a circle of women, like moms groups with the babies, and I would literally look for the way out. I'm like, all right, where's the door to get out? Where's the room? Where's the kitchen? Oh, my baby's crying. I got to go, and take care of them. And that's just how I lived, because I was just so afraid of people. I was afraid to share my experiences because they're not good enough. You know, everyone else has it together. I'm nervous over here being a mom, and you look at everyone and you think they have it all together and you're the only one. And so when she said that, I was thinking, I don't know what she's talking about. And I went home, and funny enough, my husband was a life coach, and I thought it was kind of silly. I thought the whole concept was silly. I'm like, that's, whatever. I supported it, but I didn't really go for it. But I did go home, and I was like, wow, I noticed how he was helping people, how he talks differently, how he listens differently. And I'm like, let me look into this life coaching thing. I went online and I saw this Christian life coach school that I'm like, marriage coaching. There's one thing that I really honor is marriage and family. And I think society just needs more of that. And maybe I can offer that, but I don't do that. I don't talk to people. I don't do all that. But I'm like, let me just take a look. And so I started looking into it. I started the class. I started the coaching program. And my eyes were completely opened. I'm like, I have a life of experience to share with people, to share with women, to share with mothers, families, children, whoever, everybody. I'm like, I'm not doing a service to anybody. I'm not doing an impact. I'm not helping anyone by just staying home and being quiet. And so I started all these little things. My husband's like, maybe we should start a podcast. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I'm like, no way. I'm never going to start a podcast. That's crazy. And I'm like, I really should, because I do have something. I do have a story. I do have a background. And so terrified, I did it. I mean, completely terrified. Everything in me was like, you can't do it. You're not educated enough. You're not good enough. You're not a good speaker. You don't have enough stories. You don't have enough experience. I mean, everything we tell ourselves. And I did it. And then he's like, will you give a talk at one of our boot camps? We'll talk about marriage. We'll talk about working together. I'm like, no way. Are you kidding me? Because we tell ourselves that we can't do it, but we know we should. Do you know what I mean? I had a reason, and my reason was I want to help as many women as I can. I want to help as many women as when I felt sitting there thinking I'm the only one that's struggling. I want to help as many as I can. And so that was my reason. And so I feel like if we're afraid of something, don't wait till you're not afraid of it, because I'm still afraid. You know what I mean? Don't wait until you're not afraid. You're going to be afraid anyway. Do your best, take a step, and give it a try. Okay, you give it a try. It doesn't work out so well. So what? Just do it again. Just keep doing it. Just keep practicing. If you're going to touch one person, then it's 100% worth it. Even if it's one person in your whole entire life that you've helped change their life, it is 100% worth it, because we are called to give back. We are called to be in community and help other people, and not pretend that everything's okay. We're not supposed to be here doing things by ourselves. And so that's why I decided to, be out in the world and, share my voice, my story.
I love that. I recently hear that when you start thinking about the impact that you're gonna make, you overcome that fear. Because when you're thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't even speak English. Oh my gosh, I'm not educated enough. Like, I'm thinking about me, and this is me being selfish. But when we start thinking about somebody else, like, what if what I have to say today is gonna change somebody's life, or is gonna impact somebody? Like, we all have stories. So I love that, because that's exactly what you did, Julia. You start thinking on the impact that your voice and your story could give to others, instead of, having that fear of talking. So I absolutely love that. And just let's get a little bit into the being a certificate Christian life and marriage coach. How do you integrate those roles into the real estate business that you're building with your husband?
Sure. I shared with you ladies the other day that I am, just a little side note, I am not interested in real estate at all. I do love the results. I find it, I love that people are excited by it. I love the excitement behind it. It's kind of like when the kids come home and they're telling you about something that's not interesting to you, but you love to see it in their face. You love how they light up the room. And so when people talk about real estate, I get excited for them, aside from that, life coaching, I mean, oh my gosh, I started life coaching a lot of the Jake and Gino students years ago. And it was amazing that here I am. I don't know much about cap rates. I don't know all of those things that you ladies talk about. But I do know that life coaching definitely impacts every relationship we have, whether it's trying to make a call to a broker or trying to form a business relationship with someone, trying to form partnerships. All of that, because we talk in life coaching about communication, we talk about awareness, we talk about a thinking process, we talk about making decisions. I mean, even choosing your partner. I mean, that's huge. That's such a big deal. And that's what we go over in life coaching is how do we make the right choices? You know, a lot of times we ask people in our circle, we ask our family members, we ask our friends or coworkers, hey, well, I'm thinking of doing real estate, you know, what do you think? And we ask the same people over and over again. Which one of the things in coaching I do talk about is who are you asking for advice? Because a lot of times we ask the same people over and over again, and we kind of get the same, we know what their answers are. Maybe we ask people we want those answers. We ask those people. Think about someone who's super successful in whatever you want to know about, and go find that. Even if you don't really know them that well, go ask them. Go ask someone who's made really bad mistakes. Go ask them, what'd you do? Tell me. I want to know about you and how you made those mistakes. And so when we talk about coaching in real estate or coaching in anything, even mothering, I mean, my gosh, the stuff I learned about by just coaching as a mom is crazy, about listening, how to listen to our children, how to listen to our spouses, how to listen to our you know, anyone in the real estate world. Negotiation. It's all part of coaching. It's all part of life coaching, and how to talk and how to listen and how to ask the right questions. And so when people are like, how do you coach real estate entrepreneurs? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like coaching anyone else. It's the same thing, because we all share the same issues. We all have the same problems. We all have the same worries and fears. And so that's how I do it. And that's how it fits in so beautifully, because that's why I love working with my husband, because he really is so set on the real estate part. And then I love the other part, the personal development part. And then the bringing in of the couple, bringing in the families into the companies, because gosh, working with your family is so amazing.
That was such a perfect segue to my next thought and what I want you to address. And so it's kind of a two-part question. So one, how do you find your partner? Who's your partner? How do you choose your partner in crime? And how important is having partnerships on this journey?
Sure. So how to choose a partner. I mean, it could be your spouse, it could be your business partner, whoever you're talking about. I mean, for me, it's you have to share the same values. You know, I mean, values, we forget that, you know, being a very honest person, if I'm not gonna get together with someone who's constantly giving me little fibs all the time. Do you know what I mean? We really need, in order to trust somebody, we need to know them. So we can't just get into partnerships with people we don't know yet, because we can't trust them yet. And so to know people, maybe to ask around, hey, what is the characters of this person? But definitely values. I think that's something that we really do have to talk about. You know, tell me about your values. You know, tell me what your family life is. I don't know. You know, I think that's important. But everyone has their own ideas. But definitely the value, you know, that's something we talk about in coaching, is if we know what our values are, it's very easy to make decisions based off of them. And it's who we're hanging out with, you know, who our children are hanging out with, who our spouses are hanging out with, who we're going to dinner with. I mean, all of those things are really important. And so to know your partner first, to build a relationship with them, I think is key. And a lot of times we're in a hurry. We just want to start the company. We just want to find a business partner that works. Oh, look, they seem like, oh, look, social media, everything's good on that end. But we don't know them yet. Don't look at social media. Don't look at all that stuff. You know what I mean? I just posted on my Instagram, my kids did it, of the reality of taking kids' pictures to like the real Christmas picture. And it's so true, because, you know, it's a nightmare to take Christmas pictures or Easter pictures, whatever, with like 6 kids. There's always somebody that's in a bad mood. And so, but everyone sees the perfect picture at the end. And that's what social media does. It confuses us that all these people are having these perfect partnerships. Everything's good and I'm struggling. And that is not the case. And I know we all know that, but yet we see it and we're We're like, oh no, it's just me. It's just me. So definitely partnerships, look at their values, ask them. I mean, straight out ask people. I think a lot of times we don't realize that we can communicate with people and say, what are you looking for in a partner? Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I can offer you. What can you offer me? Don't forget about the communication part. And what was the importance of having a partner?
Yes. How important is partnerships in this journey?
Gosh, I have to say that a lot of times, and especially as women, Brooke, we're always like, oh, we got to do it by ourselves because we're going to seem strong. We're going to feel like we got this. We're going to do it by ourselves. I don't need anybody to help me. And I've done that. I did that for my whole adult life. I'm like, I don't want anyone to help me with the kids. I want to prove to the world that I could do it. And gosh, what a mistake that is. It really is, because it wipes us out. And we're made to be in community. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be feeding off of each other. I think about even my husband as aside from being married to him, like as my business partner. And I wouldn't want to do it without him. I just, there's a whole aspect of the fun of it and the relationship there. But then it's some days we have really difficult times. I mean, we go through sickness, we go through family crisis, we go through all these things. But if we have a solid partner to back us up, my gosh, I couldn't imagine without him. But even in general, even as a mother, as a woman, as a wife, we need other people. We need each other to hold us accountable, right? Because a lot of times I don't know what I'm doing. Like my family did not come with a manual. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what the right next move is sometimes and I need other people to guide me. And so whether that's our spouse or a business partner, we really do need a partnership that we can count on and we can trust. And we can share in the excitement of what we're doing.
Go ahead, Jasmine.
No, I love that. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking, I caught myself telling myself like, oh, I don't need help, I need support. Especially, like I'm single, trying to find the husband. And it's like, and I had this thought, like, I don't need help, I need support in this journey. And then I realized, like, why am I saying I don't need help when I'm trying to build this and impact these people and do all this craziness? Of course I need help. Who I am, like to say I don't need help. And it's so important to find somebody who is aligned with values, with goals, and yeah, they can support, but also help, because just like what you were saying, sometimes yeah, you need support, but some others, like, you have no idea what's next or what decision to make. That's when you need help. So as you were speaking, I was just going through everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but thank you so much. That helps me a lot. And I know there's some ladies here who are single as well, so that's very helpful.
So I have a question, and I know we talked about this yesterday, but partnerships are so important, and your success in marriage is really everything. But how do you have a business on one side, but then also manage the business at home?
It's interesting because a lot of people have talked to me about that, and we've tried things out. It's so interesting. I'm like, all right, maybe we've tried it all because we don't know, right? And we're just figuring it out just like everyone else. We're like, maybe we'll go on a date and we won't talk about business. Maybe we'll go on a date and talk only about, like, you know what I mean? And what I discovered is this: if you want to talk about it and it's joyful and it's exciting, and when you do something and it's fun, it's like, wow, this is exciting. The business is going well. Look what I did today. And then talk about it. You know what I mean? Bring it into the family. We bring it into our kitchen table. We have dinner together every night with all the kids, and we talk openly about what we're doing, and the kids give us our ideas. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, you can't mix marriage and business together. It's too complicated. But go for it. My gosh, you know what I mean? If it's, and there are times where we have disagreements, and those are the moments where I'm like, all right, listen, this is a disagreement. Let's put this aside until later. Let's just carve out some time at 5 o'clock. We'll talk about it then. And it's those moments of, which life coaching has helped me to put those moments truly aside and not let them bother you and actually focus on what's important. And we are capable of doing that, to kind of put our hurt feelings or emotions to the side for a minute. But for the most part, I mean, just being married and having this whole journey together with my spouse, it's so fun. I mean, there are moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I so disagree with you. Like, I am 100% not on board with this. But it's good because it strengthens our relationship. It strengthens because we're in it for the long run. We're not just trying it out. We're not trying marriage out. We're not trying the business out. This is like, we're all in,
So I have to jump in here.
Yeah.
I know you and I are similar in the fact that we've been together with our spouses. Like, for me personally, 27 years, 23 married.
Nice.
You and I have a similar path here. So share with me how you've been able to grow together as the Lord. I know you're a Christian and I am too. So, and I know as a Christian, you follow that whole idea and the concept of us coming together as one.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how you've been able to handle that yin and yang, because you are so different from your husband, and so am I from mine. And I know from a personality standpoint, and speaking with you, I'm more like your husband, and your personality of support is more like my husband. So just tell us how you've been able to just work that through, how it's worked for you.
Yeah, I love that question. I do, because it's so special to me for some reason, because I don't mean it in a proud way, but I love it. I love this part of it because it comes down to loving your husband, even when he's annoying, loving your husband, even when I don't agree with him, forgiving him for saying something stupid that he probably was really busy. I mean, you know what I mean? But the one thing is, and my kids always notice this, they always question it and they're confused by it. So if my husband's talking about something he wants to do for the company, and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. But if it's not that big of a deal, and for real, it's not going to like change my life. It's not either way. If you want to do it like that, it's not going to do anything for me. I'll be like, you know what? No big deal. Let's just go for it. And I think that's helped the most, is not holding on to little grudges, or not holding on to, I want to do it my way. We're going to do it my way. We're not going to do it. And just kind of letting go of that control. And I think that's helped my marriage more than anything else, because a lot of times we just want to be in control. We want to have the last say. We want to hold the grudge. And, and I think just slowly over the years, especially, being a Christian, just like that forgiveness and that moving on. And you know what? The bitterness. I don't want to be bitter. I've done that and I hate it. It's not a good life. The being bitter and holding on to grudges, it's not. And so when there's something that's no big deal, I'm like, yeah, okay. You know what? It's okay. There was a funny thing that happened. My 24-year-old, I was telling the kids about this great idea, and I told my husband, and 2 days later, he kind of like brushed it off. And 2 days later, he came home. He's like, oh my gosh, you know what we're going to do? And he said exactly the word for word what I said 2 days ago. And I sat there, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And Gabriella's like, Mom, that was your idea. I'm like, yeah, it was no big deal. But she's like, but that was your idea. I'm like, but it's for the company. It's like, it doesn't matter whose idea it was. I'm just proud that he finally even if it took 2 days and he might have thought it was his idea, good, let's go for it. And I just stuff like that. I think a lot of times it's prideful of us to hold on to certain things and just like love them. I just, I don't know, just loving our husbands. I know that sounds so simple, but sometimes that's all it is. I think we complicate life so much by how many thoughts we have and how many irritating, everyone irritates us. So I think just that, letting go of that control and just being present in the moment and just being on board. We're on the same team. We're you know what I mean? We're not working against each other.
I love that you just said that. I love that you just said that, because probably for the first, I would say, so we've been married 23 years. I would say for probably the first 10 years, my husband and I were almost like competitors.
Yeah.
Like, I took that sibling rivalry that I used to have with my brother, and I like threw it on my husband. Like, I'm going to do better, and it's like, no, this is not what God intended for our marriage.
But we do that sometimes and we don't even notice it, right?
Yeah.
We don't even notice we're doing it until all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, why am I angry all the time? Why, when you walk into the room, I'm like ready to fight, you know what I mean? And it's that moment where like, wait a second, let's rethink this. But all of that was good. That 10 years is good for you because you grew in those 10 years and your relationship was built on that. So I think that's awesome.
And I love
I'm a slow
no
learner.
more, Candace.
I'm just a slow learner,
girl.
I know,
My
I'm just
turn.
a slow learner is all I want to say. I'm just a slow learner.
This is our panel. No, I'm just kidding. No, and I love that you said that. And I put this in there, like, do you want peace or do you want to be right? Because we have 4 kids. I mean, I've known my husband since college. We've only been married about 4 years, but this is my question to you, because whenever things get chaotic, because I work from home and he has a business, but he's always home and shuffling 4 kids and ex-husbands and wives and all the things. How do you prioritize time with your husband with 6 kids? Because we have 4, I have 2 bonus and my own, and we shuffle between them and running 3 businesses. And sometimes my husband has to be like, hello, I'm over here. You know, do you remember me?
Yeah.
Because I'm a grinder and I do struggle with that. And I have to put everything in my calendar, even if it's lunch with my husband, or I'm like, I'm going tonight, we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
And so one of my girlfriends even told me, girl, you should be scheduling sex even. I'm like, they're doing too much. But I'm like, I want to hear people who are in the same boat that I'm in. We juggle 4, you juggle 6. How do you prioritize your date nights? Who's watching the kids? Are you taking annual vacations? How do you get alone time with the kids not asking you 21 questions? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing, it's always going to be there. I'm thankful for it now, if that makes sense, because for many years, I'm like, am I ever going to be able to like sit and have coffee with my husband? Because there's always a little person. And I realize now that, our youngest is 9 years old, and I look back and I'm like, that was that life. That was one phase of my life where it had to be, if that makes sense. I could have done things differently. I really could have. I mean, I really prioritized the kids. But they were all little. I mean, they're all nursing. They're all like toddlers. They're like, there was never, ever a break. And I could have done things differently, which I can tell you what we're doing now, which is what I could have done back then. But I did put them first. I prioritized the kids. And that was one of the things that I somewhat regret, because I didn't realize the importance of our marriage, because I was so like thrown into like all these children. And it was a lot, I'm going to be honest. But what we did do in the past 3 or 4 years, and okay, we've been married for 25 years. It's a long time. So this is kind of embarrassing that it's only some time ago that we started this, but we started doing date nights on the calendar. They have to be there or we literally will forget. And sometimes the kids will be like, oh, Mom, don't you have a date? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot. So we have to prioritize that. And it has to be intentional. I was sharing with you ladies the other day, and this was really more toward the kids, but it's also with our husbands, it's that time. And I'm not taking it away from your question. I just want to make a point, is that having children, like you can never be around them enough. I feel like my husband's like that too, where it's like, well, when are we going to get together? When are we going to do these things? And my point is, I homeschool the kids, so they're always home. They're always around me. At the end of the day, they're always like, Mom, when are we going to spend some time together? And that really drove me crazy all these years, because I'm like, we're home all together. We're always together. And I heard somebody give a talk about 10 minutes. And they said, listen, if you give someone 10 minutes of complete listening, just sitting there, no distractions, 100% all in, eyes on them only, no distractions at all. I mean, you really have to be very intentional here. They will feel so loved and so listened to and so satisfied with that. And that's what we crave, right? We crave people just to hear us and to listen to us. Our husbands crave that too. And a lot of times we're just busy. We do have a lot of stuff to do. And I know you do, Brooke. But if you could just carve out 10 minutes of complete, no distractions. And that means if you have to lock yourself in the bathroom with your husband for 10 minutes, so be it. Okay.
Yeah, we've gone to that point. And that's why I'm so glad you made that comment about the date night and all that other stuff, how you, because that was so this is my second marriage, and I've already and I tell my husband this, I adore you and I see us on the rocking chair together, but I will never get remarried ever again, because it's like raising another child. Okay. But my point to that is because my first marriage, I did what you did. You guys were able to pivot and re-strategize your relationship, where I didn't get to do that with my first marriage. I was a mom. I was prioritizing my kids. My husband got on back burner. And my husband, David, who he was previously remarried, we took where we messed up in our last marriages. And it was one of those things, is not prioritizing your date nights and your alone time with each other to connect. Because then you're like two ships sailing past each other in the middle of the night. So massive kudos to you, Julia, for recognizing that, because when we were in the mix, we did not recognize that. And it truly ended, and it ended in a divorce after 10 years of marriage. So definitely prioritize your husband. Your kids are important too, but your husband and you are the foundation, and your kids are watching this. I'm happy.
And the kids are watching, like, just like you said, we are their example. They see that. And so when they go off and get married, we're going to mess their marriage up too now, because so that's important. But that's what I was taught. And that's what a lot of us were taught, is the kids come first. And so that's why there's so many issues, right? So just a little something. Your husband does come first, and he so needs you.
I told my parents all the time, the best gift that you can give your kids is loving your husband and your wife.
Right.
Because if they are okay, we all are okay.
Yeah.
And I think, just taking it for granted. So I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And, can I just peek one more thing in? What I could have done years ago, and this is for anyone with little kids, I could have said, Gino, listen, I am overwhelmed and overworked. I don't know what to do. I want to put you first, but I don't know how, because there's a baby crying or something. And I think that we didn't do that. I didn't do that. And I think that would have helped the situation, but it's that communication, right? It's that communication.
So true. It's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have it now, you can still get it. There's still time.
Always
just like
time.
you said, Julia.
Absolutely. It's never, ever too late. Never.
And I love, because and I think it was Candace. So Candace wrote, reach out and communicate and ask your spouse for help. Well, I struggled with that because when growing up, I saw my mom rely on everybody else, the government and men, and this. So when I got married, I never wanted to ask for help. And then my husband, David, now he's kind of like, I'm not a mind reader. Okay. He's like, like y'all tippy-toe around stuff, and if you need help, you don't ask, and you're passive aggressive slamming stuff around. He's like, if you want something, ask. He goes, because what you notice and what is important to you is not going to be important to me. So if you want, I'm like, well, if you see me bringing in groceries, you should know to get off your butt and just help. Why do I gotta ask for that? But men will be in their zone. He's watching the football game, or he's doing this. And for me, or as women, we are wired to notice when people need help, or to kind of leave, okay, let me help you, and jump to the occasion. But men are so like single focus, I feel sometimes is how they're wired, that if I don't ask for help, the probability of me getting it is slim to none. So I'm all like, bruh, if there was like a 49er jersey or something kicking it right here, and I'll go, you would notice that. But it's okay. That's where we're different. We have to ask for help, and it is hard, but do it. Don't get mad, because closed mouths don't get fed. And that was a hard lesson I learned.
I'm going to take a pivot here. So I love what we're talking about, but I want to know, you have your coaching businesses, you're homeschooling. I think 3 of your kids right now, because you've got a wide age range, I think, right? 24 to 9.
To 9, yeah.
How do you stay grounded spiritually? Like, how do you do that? How do you keep it all together and have enough time for even yourself?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like now with my kids that at the age that they are, I finally am. I mean, early on, if everyone has little children out there, it's really challenging to have a spiritual life with babies. It really is. It's just the reality. And God knows where you are. Like he gave you that child. And I think that's really important for us to realize, is that he knows where we are. God meets us where we are at the moment. If we're having a really difficult time in life, for whatever reason, he knows it already. And so a lot of times we're like, oh, let me get my act together before I pray or something. No, and I think that's the struggle that we have, is like, we have to get ourselves together before we allow God to love us. And so I think that's really, there was someone that said to me once years ago, and I didn't understand it for like 10 years. He's like, just let God love you. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And in 10 years it went by. Then I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means. I'm just going to just stop thinking about what that means and just live according to that. I'm just going to allow God to love me in the moment, wherever I am. And so anyone that would come into my presence, I would kind of see the presence of God. I'm like, all right, you're here with me now, whatever you want me to do. And so it became a wake up call in the morning where I would wake up and I would say, wherever you want me to be today, whoever you want me to help or touch or whatever. And that gave me the guide for the day, how I would show up. Because when I go downstairs in the morning, if mom is in a really good mood and, full of joy and love, then everyone else is. Like we have such a role. I don't think we realize the importance of our role as women to show up in the world and bring God's love to everybody, and if someone's even at the grocery store having a hard day, you talk to them, it changes their whole everything. Their face lights up, and all of a sudden, like, who am I to talk to this this lady bagging? She's like 85 years old. She's working there every time I go to the grocery store, which is like 4 times a week. She's there. And I just ask her how she's doing, and we talk about what I'm making, and like just that. I mean, those simple little things in life that we take for granted. And so it's those moments that I realize God is present all the time, and whoever he puts in front of me, I have to make a difference, I guess. And it's that quiet prayer time that I put off all the time because I have other things to do. It's kind of like prioritizing our husbands. It's the same thing. It's like we have to put it in the calendar sometimes to pray. I know that sounds ridiculous, but we forget, and it's just those habits that we have to form. So it's even, for the children, like when we have a meal, which is all the time, we pray before we eat. And even if we go out, I mean, some people don't like it when we go out, but we say grace before we eat when we're out at the restaurants. And some people love it, some people don't. But it's an example for other people to say it's okay. It's bring God into your family, because that's how they stay together.
All right, so I'm calling out your devotional again.
No, I'm
You got
telling you,
so
you
many
gotta
books out there. Your next one's a devotional for us women.
Yes, because yesterday you mentioned, Julia, that we always say it, or I personally say, like, put God first.
Yeah.
But then you ask a question that I never heard, and I'm taking it. So share that, please.
Yeah, we always say, I always ask people, tell me who's important in your life. And everyone says God first, my husband and my kids. I'm like, all right, how are you putting them first? Tell me how you put God first. I want to know, like, give me an example, give me evidence behind it. Because we talk a lot, we say a lot of things, but we have to actually like write down a list of what we do. How did I love my husband today? Because when we love our husband, we're putting God first. It all goes together. Everything falls into place when we have our priorities set. And so if I'm going to love God, what does he want us to do? He wants a strong marriage. He wants, he wants that. He wants a strong family. He wants us to pray together. He wants us to be examples in the world. I mean, my oldest was a missionary for 2 years. Like their logo, Life Teen, was bringing teens closer to Christ. And that's what my daughter did. And I'm like, I suffered when she was little. Like, what is my purpose in life? I was home by myself with the kids. I'm like, I don't even go out. Like, I didn't even go out for, I don't know how many years. And I just stayed home because it was easier. And I'm like, how am I giving back to the world? Like, what impact am I giving? And here, all these years later, my daughter is like bringing people back to the church. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like God knew that. He knew that ahead of time. Like he saw that already. So I'm like, all right. So when we say we put God first, or put our husbands ahead of our children, give me the evidence every single night. I want a journal, and I want you to write down how you did it and what you could have done differently tomorrow. Because if we have a plan, it doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it sounds so like scheduled, but so what? If we have a plan on how we can be better tomorrow in every relationship we have, oh my gosh, then we start doing things. And then we start changing our life. We're changing other people's life. We're making an impact in people's life. Because if we're just living, like, we miss out on so many opportunities. We miss out on so many things that we could be doing and giving back and impacting other people. And so have a plan, come up with something and start doing it little by little.
Okay, this sounds like a collaboration with Julia for our journal.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's
Can
like
you
they just wrote this for us.
imagine a journal collaboration with Julia Barbaro? She and Julia Barbaro. I love that.
I love it. Now I'm waiting for anyone to ask questions, and until someone does, I'm just gonna keep going. Julia, you said that real estate is like not your biggest thing, which I understand. How has real estate really helped in all of your businesses and what you're doing? How has real estate changed your life without being into it?
Yeah, I love that. I love that question because I truly am not interested, but the results are amazing. And here's the thing. A lot of people ask me, how do I get my husband or wife on board? I want to do real estate. They're not interested. They don't think I'm like, listen, it's not, you have to speak their language. And I'm going to share with you a little story that my husband was all into it. And I get it. I get that he, it was good financially, but I didn't understand how helpful real estate could be until he told someone else's story, which I happened to be standing in front of them. He didn't even know I was there. And he was telling somebody about why he does real estate. Now, we have a lot of kids. We had a restaurant years ago. And every time I was pregnant, we get the comment, oh my gosh, another wedding, another college, you have to save. Are you saving? And it would just get me irritated. I'm like, oh my gosh, how many comments are these people? They're all New Yorkers, by the way. So all these weddings, that's all we talked about, weddings and college. And so over the years, my husband, he said to this person behind me, he's like, listen, I was stuck in that. I would save. I mean, my husband would start saving this. The day he found out I was pregnant with Gabriella, who's 24, he started saving his college fund. He actually had started a bank, didn't even know her yet, started a bank for her for college because he was so worried about it. But over the years through real estate, he's like, we bought this amazing property. We bought this property. And because of the money we make from it, that one property paid for her college 1 year, the next year, the next year, the next year. My son went into college. That same property that he bought paid for that. For now he's on this, he's a senior in college. My next daughter, she's in school. That same property that he bought is paying for that. And we still have it and we're still making money on it. And I just was like, well, why don't you explain it to me like that? Instead of saying we got to buy property. I think a lot of times as spouses, we talk to our spouse in our own language. So if anyone listens and knows the 5 love languages, please buy the book. It doesn't matter if you're married or not. It's really good to have because you realize how we talk to other people. They don't understand what we're talking about. We're talking in our language all the time. If we got to shift it, it's like talking to a child. You can't explain what you ladies talk about with real estate. You have to kind of simplify it for them and talk in, 9-year-old terms, let's say. And so we don't do that to our spouse. And a lot of times we just don't understand what you're talking about. But if we explain it in different terms, like even a financial freedom, what that means, speak it in a language that I understand it, then I might understand it differently. And I think that's a lot of spouses they get caught up into arguments because they just are confused and their communication is not there. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump in because I put the question in the chat, but I see his face. I'm going to bulldoze it. So with 6 kids, how did you find low cost and fun ways to do things with the family? Like I remember when I was a single mom and when I had and I only had 2 at the time. And I was like, dang, why is everything so expensive? So what did you guys do for fun having that large of a family that didn't break the bank?
Oh my gosh, things are so ridiculously expensive. And it doesn't matter how much money you make. I just hate wasting money. I hate all of that stuff. And my kids, I'm going to be honest, we have so much fun, basic stuff. And I know you put on the video of cooking. When my kids are home, they put on loud music and they cook together. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but there is something about home
that's
cooked
awesome.
meals.
We do that too.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
That I love that. Because we think outside the box so much. Oh, they have to be in these sports and they have to be doing all these things and they have to get their hands into everything to see what they like. They literally just want to be together. They want to be a community. They want to be a family and they want to have fun together. And here is just a little tip of ladies. And this is whether if it's your husband or your children in the kitchen. My big mistake too in the kitchen was always like, oh, here's how you do that. Let me show you that. Oh, let me do that. This is the better way to do it. Teach your kids and get out of the kitchen and let them do it in their own way, because we tend to be that controlling mother where we want to fix everything. We want to do it our way. And a lot of times our kids are afraid to be around us. And so they're not free to cook how they learned on Pinterest or whatever, wherever they learn. I get the greatest things. Let your husband cook in the kitchen. My husband was a chef in a restaurant. You would think that he'd be cooking meals all the time. He is not. But when he does, every single cutting board is out, every single bowl is out, all the knives are out, because he used to have a dishwasher. He used to have people that would clean up after him. And my kids are like, Mom, I'm like, it's okay. Just let him do it. We'll all pitch in and help at the end. But cooking is something that, I mean, it's so beautiful. You know, we cook and we sit and we eat. And that's where all the conversations come out. That's where all the memories are. The kids are not going to remember the soccer game or the volleyball. They're not, let's be honest. But they will remember the time spent in the kitchen and sitting at the table eating and talking amongst each other, because that's where everyone, you know, that's what, gosh, like food and family, you know, that's what we're made for. I just love it.
I love that you said that. That was one of the very first things that my husband and I did. We both come from divorced parents. He's Greek and my family's Polish and German. And anyways, divorced parents had us sit down for not just one marriage class, but two before we got married. And the one thing we decided was that no matter what, we had to have 3 to 4 dinners together, whether it was just the two of us or us as a family. No matter what, it was like non-negotiable.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's what we miss out on nowadays, and the family is breaking apart because of that. We have, you know, devices at the table. We watch in front of the TV, all these bad habits, and we're just missing out on so many amazing conversations. And that's where we get to know each other. And that's what we all crave. Our children crave that. I mean, our spouses want that. They want to sit with us. They don't want the phone. Get rid of the phone. Get rid of all that stuff and just sit and listen. Oh my gosh.
One thing that's really fun that the kids do, and I think they found this from TikTok, is that, and I'll tell them, go ahead, go crazy, but clean up, okay? Clean up after yourself, right? So one will be blind and be blindfolded, and one is deaf, and one can't talk, and they have to figure out how to work together to bake cookies or brownies. And I don't know how they got this, but they do it all the time. And it's entertaining because me and my husband will be on the couch and watching. But then you got one like yelling. I'm like, oh my God, I'm putting my headphones on. But then I tell myself, you know what? They're making memories. I'm like, Amor, just give me my earbuds, please. One's this, hold on. And one other one's blind, but it makes sense.
This is a perfect Instagram reel. Why aren't you videotaping this? This should be, oh my God.
Yeah. They do record it. So they have their phones right there, and then they put it like on TikTok.
Oh, you got to record it because it's so much better when it comes from the mom sitting and hiding in the other room.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the same room because we're like an open concept.
Yeah.
They're hella loud. I can't hear you. I'm like, oh my God. Stop on my headphones. Like I'm going deaf.
I love it. But that you allow that to happen. And I think that the mom in us is like, stop, it's too loud, it's too messy, you have to stop.
No.
Just let them be children. You know what I mean? A lot of times we try to interfere, even in the conversation. We're like, oh, tell us about your day. Well, you know, just let them talk. Like sit back and don't ask questions. I love that. Just let the kids have a conversation and be present. Oh, I love that you do that. That's awesome.
It was their idea. So I was like,
but you're the mom in the house.
I'm all like, okay, as long as you guys clean up after yourself, because I'm a clean freak. But yeah, then I don't care what y'all do.
I love it.
Just don't die. Don't burn the house down.
That's right.
Well, Julia, this has been an amazing conversation. We've learned so much from you, and I hope all that are watching on the recording, please do not forget to follow Julia, and we have her QR code. It is being sent out with the recording, so you can be on all of her things and get involved in her coaching if you need it. She is amazing. I think we showed that tonight. So thank you so much, Julia, and everyone else. Thank you for showing up tonight. We will see you every first and third Tuesday of every month. And next time is, I don't know the actual date, the 21st. November 21st. So we will see you there. Thank you so much. Jasmine, anything else before I start our music?
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
For your time.
Ladies, you're awesome. Thank you so much.